Hey guys, Horror Man, back for another review. So today we're going to take a look at the NECA Toys Toony Terrors Friday the 13th Jason Voorhees figure. Now this is a brand new line of collectibles from NECA, and it's basically based on those old Saturday morning cartoon style characters that we all come to love. And he's got that like kind of Hanna-Barbera or Scooby-Doo type of style to him. So pretty cool looking design. So just taking a look at the package, it just says NECA at the top, Toony Terrors, and it's kind of in that like blood writing. You got some little skulls and stuff on here. Now I'll show you after I open the figure, but there is like a marquee behind him and like a movie ticket booth, and you can even see Jason like posters on the sides of the packaging. So pretty cool. It just says Jason Voorhees on the front. You can see Friday the 13th written underneath of Toony Terrors, ages 17 and up. Turn to the side, just says Toony Terrors here. Over to the back is really cool. You actually get this cool little display, so it's got that like creepy woods background to it. There is a little read up here for the Toony Terrors line, and I'll go ahead and read that. It just says, bring the fun of Saturday morning cartoons to your horror collections with these adorable little creeps. Pick your favorites or collect them all and make every day Toony Terror time. So that's the little description of the line, and then it just shows you how to cut this backdrop out. And there's actually a little picture of Jason up here. And then onto the bottom, you just get the credits for NECA designs and whatnot. You got the logos for NECA, Friday 13th, new line, UPC code. So that's about it for the packaging. So I'm pretty excited about this line. I actually really loved Scooby-Doo as a kid, especially the Scooby-Doo Where Are You, like the original series. So I think this will fit in really nice with it, and he's really got that exaggerated look to him. So let's go ahead and get this out of the package and get a closer look. Alright, now one suggestion I'll give you when you're opening this, because it's that carded packaging, you really shouldn't just tear this off of the card. And I'll tell you why. If you do that, you're going to ruin the sides of this packaging, and you're actually going to want to keep that for the background. So what I recommend is just basically cutting around it, just so you can kind of like just cut the plastic. Now you will be left with some of the plastic on here, but that's actually going to keep that from getting all torn up, because like I said, otherwise you go to open that and it's going to tear this card to pieces. And just taking a look at that card back, this thing looks really cool, man. Again, you got this really cool like movie marquee at the top here. You got with the little skeleton guy. He's holding a ticket. He's got like cracks in the glass, and there's like some spider webs in there. And then you got Jason with the Friday the 13th posters, and there's actually an axe going through one of the posters, and that's a nice touch. There's a little bit of blood on the ground, there's a little skull, and then there's some poured over popcorn. So pretty cool looking piece. And then again, if you just flip it to the back, you got the tree or forest background. But I tell you, I wouldn't recommend cutting that, because if you cut it, it's going to ruin the front of this thing. So I'm just going to kind of keep it the way it is. But really cool backdrop. Alright, so here is Jason outside of the packaging, and he looks pretty damn cool, man. Like I said, he definitely looks like Scooby-Doo. Like he was right out of the Scooby-Doo cartoon. He even reminds me of a character called the Creeper, which was one of the monsters in the original Scooby-Doo. But before we get too far into it, let's go ahead and just take a look at the head sculpt. Alright, so just taking a look at the head sculpt, I really like what they've done here. It's definitely that part 3 type of look, in my opinion. He's got that green shirt, of course, but more importantly, he's got that clean hockey mask. So you have all the red markings or chevrons on the mask. There's no real cracks or damage done to the mask or missing pieces. So it definitely looks like that standard part 3 original hockey mask Jason. So I'm a big fan of that. And the eyes are really funny. They kind of have like expression through the mask, which is kind of silly. but it kind of goes with this line. And speaking of the eyes, you really can't see his eyes, you just see just black shadows where his eyes would be. And over to the side, you get a nice profile of Jason here. You can see the straps sculpted on there. He's got his ears. It's just that standard, you know, bald Jason that we see from part 3, of course. But looks pretty good from the side. I like how they've done the nose and the mask. And over to the other side, again, you get that same detail. So really nice looking profile. You got the ears on there. And you can see a little bit more of the wrinkling in that side of the head, which is really cool. Definitely reminiscent of that part 3 Jason. And then in the back of the head, you just see the straps, and you can see more lines and wrinkling on the neck. And of course, you can see more of those lines on the right toward the collar of his shirt, so all on the neck. So yeah, just really great details overall for a cartoon figure, so I'm pretty happy with that. The only thing I don't like about this figure, particularly the head, is that the hockey mask actually doesn't come off, which kind of sucks. I would have loved to have seen a cartoon version of just like the unmasked Jason. I think that would have been really fun. And then looking at the torso of the figure, again, you do have that green shirt, which is very reminiscent of Friday the 13th Part 3. It's just that button-down shirt, so you can see all the buttons are individually sculpted. You got a couple of pockets, breast pockets, which look nice. I love the little tattered sleeves he's got and the tattered bottom of the shirt. They even managed to put like a little bit of a split at the bottom where the button either popped off or whatever. You can actually see a little shirt behind the green shirt. Looks like it might be blue. It's typically white, but they just went with that kind of, I guess, more cartoony color scheme. And then there actually is a little tear on his shoulder, or the sleeve of his shirt, which is pretty neat. And then over to the back, you see some of the seams and wrinkling, things like that. And again, it's all tattered, which is nice. Some more wrinkling on the right arm, and again, the sleeve is all tattered. And then finally down to the legs, you do get a little tear in his pants here. You can kind of see where the pockets would be. There's little lines on each side. You do have the tattered pants. You can kind of see where his knees are. You know, the pants are a little wrinkled just at the knee. You do get the legs with the bottom of the pants also tattered. And you have these big feet. I love how big the feet look. Very cool. And to the back, you do get the Jason butt. You got the pockets. But overall, really cool. And there is one peg hole on the right foot. Now you do get one accessory with Jason, of course, and it's just this basic trusty machete, and it's fairly basic. Just has a little bit of color on the handle, and there's like some cell shading on it, which is pretty cool. And then it just fits right into the hand. His hand is like cut perfectly to wield this machete. So, and that fits pretty good in there, but very light on accessories for this figure line. Now another thing that's very light in this figure line is articulation. You're really not going to get a lot of articulation out of this guy, but you do get some. It's not just a action figure, so that's good. You can turn the head pretty good to the left and to the right. He can actually look down really far, which is awesome. I can't really look up. Just the way that collar's done, you really can't get much looking up. You can tilt the head, which is extremely important in my opinion with these horror figures. So I'm very happy they didn't just do the standard left to right movement. That would have been a huge mistake. The arm can go all the way up, down, all the way around, and then the same with the other one. The only thing about this other arm is that there's no articulation in the elbow, which I don't understand why they went that way, but there just isn't anything there. But you do get wrist articulation, which is another thing I didn't think we would get, so I'm pretty happy with that. The wrists move pretty good. They're just going to be a left and right twist. There is no pivot or anything like that. The feet, or the legs can go out decently far and pretty far back. The shirt kind of gets in the way a little bit. The actual feet don't move at all. And that's about it for articulation. And since the articulation is a little limited, you're not going to get a lot of machete poses, but you will get this cool pose, so that's not bad at all. And you can kind of just put it down, and then you can rotate the machete. So you can get a few cool poses with it, but not much. Alright, so for the first comparison, here he is next to the Part 3 Ultimate Jason and the Part 6 Retro Style Jason, both made by NECA Toys. Now, even though he's not quite in scale with those other NECA figures, he does work pretty well with this NECA accessory pack. So if you want to display him with the Camp Crystal Lake sign, or like his Jason Voorhees gravestone, or the little fire that came with Part 2. He even works fairly decent with this pier scene, so if you want to use those accessories from the accessory pack, it does seem to work pretty good. Alright, for the next comparison, here he is next to some really awesome cartoons. You have the Raphael from the CGI 2012 cartoon, and this is made by Reveltech. And then you also have the NECA Toys 1987 Raphael figure. And here he is with the Mezco 112 collected Michael Myers from the first Halloween, and the Friday the 13th Part 3 Jason, and they actually look pretty good next to each other, so not too far off in height. And for the next comparison, here he is with the Batman Animated Series and Batman New Adventures line figures. These are made by DC Collectibles. And here he is with the Filmation Master Universe He-Man and Skeletor, and these are made by Mattel, and these are definitely way too big, way out of scale. And here he is next to some various cartoon figures. You have the Funko DuckTales Uncle Scrooge, you have the Figures Toy Company Scooby-Doo, and then you have the Mattel Thundercats Mumra. And I think all these can work in photos, but they're all not necessarily in scale with each other. Let's do something really fun. This is one of my favorite old cartoon lines like ever made. Here he is next to the real Ghostbusters monsters, Mummy, Werewolf, and Dracula. And these actually look awesome, all lined up. I think these might be the best scale, because Jason should be the biggest one, and the only one that's close to him is the werewolf, which makes sense. So I really like these next to each other. I might actually display him with these guys. Man, they were just such fun figures when I was a kid. Here he is with the marquee background if you want to set that up, and of course you can do like a vertical shot, which probably would look a little bit better. And here he is with the spooky tree background, just if you want to see that. And I'll take some pictures of him with this backdrop. The one thing I would say, my one criticism, is that they shouldn't have went with a glossy finish on this. You could already see my studio lights are kind of reflecting off this. Alright, so that is my review of the Toony Terrors Friday the 13th Jason figure. And overall, it's definitely a really cool figure to pick up. I think if you like those old Saturday morning cartoons or grew up in the 70s, 80s, or 90s, this is definitely going to strike a nostalgic nerve in your body, and you're just going to have to get this one. So thanks for watching my review. Please subscribe. Please like the video if you liked it. Leave a comment or question if you had one. Share the video, please, with your friends. I need more subscribers. Until next time, guys. See ya.